Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel and back to the Contradictions series. Find me on Facebook, YouTube one way, and on BitChute. If you guys wish to join me on any one of those platforms, by all means, feel free to do so. Please note that the most up-to-date is will always be YouTube, and that's because BitChute is a little bit slow to do that sort of thing, and the upload to Facebook can be really slow and painful, so I don't always have the opportunity to do that straight away. So for the most up-to-date will always be YouTube, and I'm sorry that just happens to be the case. Unfortunately, other platforms just even though BitChute is better as far as certain things are concerned, censorship and all that kind of stuff, there is still yet to be a platform out there that can really compete and do everything that YouTube does, which is a real pity. Anyway, so today we're going to be discussing the 12th contradiction, supposed contradiction in the Bible. And now, as always, right at the beginning, we establish what it says in the book of Timothy. What does it say that the Bible is good for? It is good for doctrine, for reproof, etc., unto good works. Okay? Unto good works. So that's what it is. It is not intended to be an exhaustive historical textbook or a scientific textbook, etc. It's its main prerogative, even though it overlaps in these other areas, of course. Its main prerogative is to be a source from which we can extract doctrine, so and all of those kind of things, and spiritual teachings, etc. Right. Therefore, when we're talking about infallibility and so on and so forth, what we mean is that it is good for and infallible in that particular regard. Right. That's what we mean. It is for those things. And also, if there are other applications and stuff like that, and so on and so forth, like when we talk about creation and all these kinds of things, now it is possible for our interpretations to be incorrect, but then, you know, there's always that interpretation issue, right? And so yeah, now, does this question, let's go and have a look at the question. Does the question in any way violate? So we are here, right? Number 12, remember the one of these was duplicated, so we are always one behind. Okay, number 12, but this is number 12 now, because there was because these guys in their wonderful scholarship basically duplicated a question, so we ignored the question and skipped it. It says here, how many of Adin's offspring returned from Babylon? And there is Ezra and Nehemiah as references. It says that these two passages contradict each other. Now, if we grant that this is a contradiction, right, would this discrepancy impede our ability to extract religious, moral teaching and doctrine from the Bible? Yes or no? The answer is no. There is no doctrine whatsoever that hinges on how many people return from Babylon. At all. Okay? None. So already it shows that the detractors do not understand how we see the Bible, what it's used for, etc. So let us go to the texts. Here are the texts. Ezra 2:15. Right? It says, the children of Adin 454. This is how many? 454. And then in Nehemiah, the children of Adonikam, it's the same, it's just a different way of saying it. 637. Okay? So, 637. Now, that does appear, it does appear to be a contradiction, doesn't it? Now, here's something we need to understand about the Bible, which a lot of people, if they understood this very basic issue, then a lot of these contradictions would not be a problem. Basically, is time. Now, 454, right, is less, obviously, then 637. Right? Now, we have a period of time. So there's two solutions to this, right? 454 is a subset, right, of 637. So, for example, I can say on Monday, 40 people came to visit me, and then on Tuesday, 70 people came to visit me, right? From, I can say 40 family members came to visit me, and then on Tuesday, 70 family members came to visit me. Now, is there a contradiction? No, because all I'm telling you is how many came to visit me on a particular day, right? The 40 is a subset of the 70, means I have at least 70 family members in total, right? So even if it was the other round, even if it was the other way around, even if it was 70 on the one day and 40 on the next day, 40 remains a subset of 70. It doesn't actually matter which day. The only difference that is required is that these two events are not taking place on the exact same day, right? So there's a period of time. Now, for anyone that knows anything about the Bible at all, knows that the Bible is set out in chronological order, right? Now let's go back to the source. Ezra, right, comes before Nehemiah. Okay? The two were not contemporaries. Okay? As far as I'm aware, Ezra and Nehemiah were not contemporaries. I might be mistaken on that. Please forgive me if I am. But this is happening there between the two events. There's actually a significant period of time, because the migration of people from Babylon to Jerusalem as it was being built, it didn't overnight, boom, there now everyone is just migrate. No, it happens slowly over a period of time. So both accounts are accurate, and both accounts are taking account of the number of people at two separate periods of time, two separate dates that are far removed by weeks, months, or even years. All right? It's as simple as that. So, ladies and gentlemen, is this a contradiction? The answer is no. It is not a contradiction in the slightest. Thank you very much. Yet another contradiction, completely debunked. It's nonsense. It's rubbish, right? And you can see for yourself the degree of scholarship that goes into making up these contradictions, right? It's interesting. I've just done a video. You guys, I'm sure, noticed that I might be wearing the same shirt as my previous video, in which I dealt with the law of non-contradiction and stuff like that. And the law of non-contradiction is that important that the atheist is absolutely desperate to try and find contradictions in the Bible, whether or not they are of any significance whatsoever, or whether they are even there or not, makes absolutely no difference to them. As far as they're concerned, they absolutely have to find a contradiction in the Bible, because in their minds it then undermines our faith in some way, shape, or form. Now, as we've seen, even if there are contradictions in the majority of these cases, they are of no consequence whatsoever with regard to the purposes for which the Bible exists, for which it is used, right? And furthermore, the Bible is not directly, it is inspired, not directly dictated. And as we see in some of the other ones, the people are using extra biblical references and sources and stuff like that. And those sources themselves can differ depending on time, place, and so on and so forth. And so in the majority of these cases, even if there was a contradiction, it wouldn't matter. But there just aren't, even in those cases where it wouldn't matter whether there was a contradiction at all, in pretty much all of them, there has been no contradiction whatsoever. None. Right? They just spit it out and say, oh, contradiction. It's like, no, if you took so much as 5 seconds to pull your head out of your backside and have a proper look, you would see that it's not a contradiction. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for your time. God bless. And until next time, cheerio.